Welcome to the world of Dreamside Traveler. Here, beneath the soothing sound of gentle rain, we journey through time and space, uncovering the mysteries of the past and diving into the most captivating pages of human history. This place is created for those who love exploring the world in the quiet of evening, for those who value peace while yearning to discover something new before sleep. If you enjoy what you're hearing, please give this video a like. It helps other people find our stories. Help us reach our first 1,000 subscribers in our club of nighttime history lovers. And the Dreamside Traveler channel will become your faithful guide to sleep. We're constantly adding new stories for your peaceful evenings. And if you have ideas about which historical topics interest you, or simply want to share your thoughts, leave comments below the video. I'm genuinely curious to know what inspires you. Now close your eyes. Feel this gentle rain outside your window. Allow yourself to relax. Our journey begins right now. There are dogs that you simply admire from afar. There are dogs whose intelligence and courage earn them the respect of even N.A. Kratkoi, SUV Cyrillic letter 456, Shea Ikea Ge OSPODA Cyrillic letter 456, Ve. And then there is the Labrador Retriever, the one dog that seems to belong everywhere and to everyone. This is a creature that slides into your life as easily as it slides, wet and grinning, onto your clean kitchen floor after a spontaneous swim in the nearest pond. The Labrador does not just steal your sandwich when you are not looking. It quietly claims a place in your family legend, at the center of your daily joys and small routines, tail thumping, eyes sparkling with anticipation. But how did this loyal, energetic, food-obsessed dog become the global favorite? Why do so many homes, from London to Los Angeles, have a Labrador waiting at the door? To find out, you have to journey back to a place harsher and colder than most Labradors ever see today. To the wild, windswept shores of Newfoundland. Not Labrador, as many suppose, but the neighboring island battered by the Atlantic, where survival depended on community, courage, and strong backs, both human and canine. Picture the 18th century. Imagine fishermen in thick wool sweaters rowing out at dawn, their breath turning to fog, their boats heavy with nets. Here, on the stormy edge of the world, these men needed a special kind of helper. They bred what they called the St. John's dog, a muscular, medium-sized dog with a thick, oily coat and a tail that could steer like an oar. These dogs plunged fearlessly into icy water, retrieving nets heavy with cod, dragging ropes to shore, even leaping overboard to pull in a lost catch, or more than once, a fisherman himself. They were not pets in the modern sense. They were colleagues, partners. The Labrador's ancestors lived for the work, for the splash of the sea, for the satisfaction of a job well done. Now imagine you are that fisherman. You are tired, your hands are cracked, the sea is endless, but next to you sits a dog, black as night or yellow as sand, eyes fixed on you, ready for your next signal. Would you not trust this animal with your life? Would you not, over time, call it friend? But how did these wet, work-obsessed dogs from Newfoundland transform into the Labradors curled up on sofas and playing with children around the world? The answer is as much about fate and fashion as it is about utility. In the early 19th century, English aristocrats, curious, adventurous, always searching for the next best thing for their country estates, visited Newfoundland and noticed the hardworking St. John's dogs. Impressed by their strength and gentle mouths, they brought a few back across the ocean. Oddly enough, they did not call them Newfoundland dogs, as that name was already taken by a much larger, shaggy breed. Instead, perhaps with a wink at geography, or simply because the word Labrador sounded noble and remote, they named this new companion the Labrador dog. The name stuck, and so did the breed. On the grand estates of Britain, these dogs found new roles as hunting companions. English lords, passionate about shooting parties and the chase, saw in the Labrador a perfect ally. Through careful breeding, they emphasized the traits that made the St. John's dog such a legend: eagerness to retrieve, a gentle mouth that could carry game without crushing it, and an easygoing nature that made them a pleasure to train. These new Labradors became the silent stars of the hunt, dashing through marsh and bramble, leaping into cold lakes, always returning with the prize and a look of pure, uncomplicated pride. Yet the Labrador had ambitions bigger than the hunting fields. It was not enough to be a gentleman's gun dog. The Labrador was, by nature, a dog for everyone, adaptable, open-hearted, endlessly loyal. In the early 20th century, as cities grew and families looked for companions who could live happily in bustling homes, the Labrador proved itself again and again. Recognized officially by the Kennel Club in England at the dawn of the 20th century, and by the American Kennel Club a decade and a bit later, the Labrador began its quiet conquest of living rooms, schoolyards, and therapy centers. Why did people fall so deeply in love with this breed? It was not just the Labrador's athletic build, sturdy, but never lumbering, sleek without being fragile, a body built for work, but perfect for a gentle head in a child's lap. Nor was it only the iconic coat, a short, dense double layer, water-resistant, with colors that ranged from midnight black to warm yellow to deep, rich chocolate. It was something in the eyes, a look that says, "What next? And can I join you?" And more often than not, is there a snack involved? The Labrador is the friend you want beside you on a cold night, the helper who never complains, the optimist who never seems to lose hope. Maybe you've met a Labrador already. If you have, you know their signature move. The wagging tail that starts at the base and shakes the entire body, a wave of enthusiasm that can clear a coffee table in a single swipe. These dogs greet strangers like old friends, welcome children with a patience rare in the animal kingdom, and seem to exist in a perpetual state of ready for fun. Their friendliness makes them terrible guard dogs, unless you hope a burglar will be stopped by an avalanche of kisses and a hopeful offer to play fetch. And oh, the appetite. To own a Labrador is to learn very quickly that no food is safe, no countertop is too high, no sandwich too well hidden. Labradors will eat anything that vaguely resembles food, and sometimes things that do not. They have mastered the art of the soulful stare, that look that says, "I have not eaten in days, even if dinner was 20 minutes ago." This bottomless hunger is both their superpower and their downfall, for all the love in the world cannot protect them from the dangers of overindulgence. A healthy Labrador needs plenty of exercise and a human willing to say, enough, even when those brown eyes beg for more. But let's return to work. Because for all their goofy antics and domestic bliss, Labradors are still, at heart, working dogs. Give them a job and they will do it with joy and determination. That is why, in the modern world, you will find Labradors in so many roles. They are the gentle, patient guide dogs leading the blind with quiet confidence. They are the brave search and rescue dogs, following the faintest scent through rubble and rain. They are the tireless service animals, comforting veterans and calming children, bringing a sense of safety to hospitals, classrooms, disaster zones. In airports, their noses sniff out illegal goods and lost hope. On farms, they retrieve, herd, and guard, always eager to help. And let's not forget the small moments. The Labrador who waits at the window for a child to come home. The one who nudges a tired parent's hand just to remind them to smile. The dog who swims in a lake, chasing nothing in particular, simply for the joy of cool water and blue sky. Sometimes, the greatest stories are made of these small, ordinary moments. If there is a weakness in the Labrador, it is that they love too much, eat too quickly, and if left bored or lonely, will invent their own entertainment, often at the expense of your shoes, your furniture, or your patience. But their faults are the mirror image of their strengths. They remind us that to love is to risk, to trust is to open your heart, to play is to live in the moment. Throughout all these centuries, from the freezing docks of Newfoundland to the stately lawns of English manors, from rescue operations to children's storybooks, the Labrador Retriever has stayed true to its nature. Faithful, friendly, always ready. It is the dog that will chase a ball until the sun sets, swim for the sheer joy of moving through water, or simply rest its head on your lap with that eternal question: what shall we do next? Let me ask you this. Can you remember the first time you met a Labrador? What was it that made you smile? The thumping tail, the laughing eyes, the sense that here was a creature who believed the best was yet to come. Or maybe you are still waiting for that moment. One thing is certain: if a Labrador enters your life, it is almost impossible to forget. In a world that rushes forward, full of newness and change, the Labrador stands as a kind of reassuring anchor. It is a reminder that some things, loyalty, kindness, enthusiasm for the ordinary, never go out of style. The Labrador is not a dog of royalty, nor of the lonely hero. It is the dog of families, of workers, of dreamers, of everyone who believes that a little mud on the floor and a lot of love in the heart are the true measures of happiness. So here's to the Labrador Retriever. To the swimming, eating, tail-thumping, endlessly optimistic friend who makes even the rainiest day feel like an adventure. The dog who reminds us that sometimes the best thing in life is a simple game of fetch, a warm place to rest, and someone to love, and to be loved by in return. If the Labrador Retriever is that cheerful neighbor who greets you every morning, the French Bulldog is more like the friend who always arrives fashionably late, steals the show without effort, and somehow makes a mess look like the latest trend. This dog is small but solid, confident but never arrogant, and built as much for cuddles as for short bursts of comic adventure. There is something magical in the way a French Bulldog sprawls on your couch as if it was made just for them. Eyes wide and ears standing up like two perfect triangles, always tuned in to every sound you make. But the story of the French Bulldog is not nearly as French as you might think. To truly understand this charming little dog, you need to go back not to Paris, but to the bustling towns of 19th century England. Imagine narrow streets filled with the noise of looms and the chatter of lace makers in Nottingham. These workers, experts in their craft, wanted a dog who could warm their laps after a long day, but would not knock over their bobbins with one sweep of a tail. That is how the first toy bulldogs appeared, small, gentle, always ready to curl up under the work table or follow their owner home through a rain-soaked alley. Yet the Industrial Revolution changed everything. Machines began to replace handwork, and many lace makers lost their jobs. Hope came from across the Channel. France was hungry for English lace, and so hundreds of families packed their lives, their looms, and their little bulldogs, and moved to cities like Paris and Lyon. These dogs arrived as strangers, but the French saw their potential immediately. They wanted something even more adorable, more suited for city life. And soon, with a little help from local breeds and a lot of attention to those famous bat ears, the French Bulldog, as we know it, began to take shape. Imagine Paris at the end of the 19th century. Street cafes, smoky jazz clubs, moonlit bridges, and at the feet of the city's most stylish residents, a new kind of dog, compact, sturdy, with eyes full of curiosity and ears that could catch every whisper. The French Bulldog quickly became the symbol of a modern Paris, a city that loved everything new, surprising, and a little bit cheeky. Artists painted them. Dancers and poets carried them through Montmartre. Even ladies of the night and high society grand dames agreed on one thing. The Frenchie was the perfect companion. Soon their fame spread beyond France. American tourists, always on the lookout for the latest European sensation, fell in love with these dogs and brought them home. But, as with all things fashion, there was drama. English judges at early dog shows insisted on rose ears, those that folded elegantly over. Americans, however, adored the upright bat ears that made the French Bulldog instantly recognizable. The debate became so heated that, in the year 1897, the French Bulldog Club of America was founded, setting the standard once and for all. It had to be bat ears or nothing. By the time the 20th century rolled around, French Bulldogs were no longer just dogs. They were celebrities in their own right. At dog shows, they stole the spotlight. In the homes of the rich and famous, they became both decoration and beloved friend. Even in movies, old postcards, and the early pages of fashion magazines, you could spot that unmistakable flat snout and those round, sparkling eyes, sometimes guilty, sometimes plotting, always impossible to resist. What makes the French Bulldog so unique? Maybe it is their shape. Small but never fragile, every muscle compact, every movement deliberate. The bat ears, wide at the base and rounded at the tip, are like antennas for compliments. Their faces, with those deep folds and that comical underbite, always seem to be asking, "Are you sure you want to leave me alone for even 1 minute?" Their eyes are huge, round, and so expressive that even the most hardened heart might give up its last piece of dinner. Their tails, short and often curled or straight, wag so energetically when you return home that you wonder how something so small can contain so much joy. French Bulldogs come in a whole palette of colors, from the classic brindle, fawn, and cream to rarer, and sometimes controversial shades like blue or merle. No matter the color, their coats are always short, smooth, and perfect for stroking while you share a lazy afternoon. One thing everyone quickly learns: the Frenchie is not just a pretty face. If you want a dog that will run a marathon with you or swim across a lake, look elsewhere. This is a dog for city living, for short walks, long naps, and afternoons spent dozing in sunbeams. They are comedians by nature, masters of the dramatic sigh and the epic snore. They play enthusiastically for about 10 minutes and then declare a well-deserved break, preferably on your lap or pillow. Let's be honest, Frenchies are affectionate to the point of obsession. Wherever you go, they want to follow. Many owners discover their Frenchie's favorite place is the bathroom, not for mischief, but simply because being apart is unthinkable. Training a French Bulldog is more like a conversation than a lesson. They are clever, but also proud, and if they decide that sitting is not on the menu today, you might need to negotiate with treats, cuddles, or a well-timed compliment. Do not expect much barking, but do prepare for a concert of snorts, grumbles, and the kind of deep, soulful snores that can be heard from the next room. The Frenchie's language is not so much words as a full-body performance of wiggles, huffs, and dramatic sighs. Can you imagine waking up every morning to such a show? Here is a question for you. Have you ever wondered why French Bulldogs spread so quickly through cities all over the world? Maybe it is because, in a tiny apartment or a penthouse, these dogs need very little space, but offer unlimited companionship. Or maybe, just maybe, it is the feeling you get when those big, round eyes look at you. And for a second, all the noise of the city disappears. But there is another side to the French Bulldog story. That famous flat face, which makes them look so adorable and unique, also brings challenges. Frenchies belong to the brachycephalic family, meaning their short skulls and compact noses can make breathing hard, especially in hot weather or during play. They do not handle heat well and can become dangerously overheated in just a few minutes. The same features that make them so cute also mean they sometimes snore like an old train and need special care to keep their skin folds clean. Add to this the fact that French Bulldogs are almost always born by cesarean section. Their large heads and narrow hips mean that natural birth is rarely possible. This is a reminder of how deeply people have shaped this breed. Sometimes for beauty, sometimes for comfort, and sometimes for a mix of both. Other health issues are not uncommon. from spinal problems due to their short, strong backs, to sensitive eyes and the occasional cherry eye, to hip issues that require gentle exercise but never too much. With the right care, attention, and a little bit of luck, a French Bulldog can share your life for 10 or even 12 happy, slightly snuffly years. And if you ever need proof that Frenchies run the world, just check who owns them. From movie stars like Leonardo DiCaprio to singers like Lady Gaga and actors like Dwayne Johnson, the list of famous Frenchie devotees reads like a guest list for the fanciest party in town. But you do not have to be a celebrity to know that these dogs do not just take over your home, they take over your heart. Did you know that in the year 2022, the French Bulldog became the most popular dog breed in America, ending the reign of the Labrador after more than 3 decades? Or that the Frenchie is known as the frog dog because of the way it sprawls out on the floor, legs behind, looking as though it might launch into a leap at any second. Not all their stories are happy ones, though. In the spring of the year 1912, a banker named Robert Daniel was returning from France to America with his brindle French bulldog named Gamin de Picum. They sailed on the Titanic. Gamin's story, though almost lost to history, lives on in the memories of Frenchie lovers everywhere. A reminder that even the smallest dog can have a place in the world's biggest tragedies. Now you can find French bulldogs everywhere, from the sidewalks of New York to the yachts of the Mediterranean, from stylish Parisian cafes to the coziest corners of Instagram. They are perfect for urban life, as their exercise needs are minimal, but their desire for company is endless. Owning a Frenchie is not just about those adorable photos or the funny noises at night. It is a promise to care for a breed that depends on you to enjoy every minute of togetherness, and to accept that sometimes life's greatest pleasures are the simplest ones. A patch of sunlight, a soft pillow, a gentle snore. French bulldogs will never fetch your slippers or herd your sheep. They will not chase away intruders unless the intruder is afraid of being licked into submission. What they will do is make you laugh, make you feel loved, and teach you that style has nothing to do with size. Every day, they remind us that slowing down and enjoying the present moment is an art worth mastering. So next time you see a French bulldog waddling down the street, ears high, eyes bright, and attitude set to maximum, remember, you are looking at a true survivor, a global superstar, and maybe, just maybe, your next best friend. Would you want to share your home with a little snorting, stubborn, irresistibly charming creature? If your answer is yes, get ready, because one Frenchie is never enough, and life with them is never dull. Some dogs were born to warm your lap, some to chase cattle or keep sheep in line. But the German Shepherd seems to have entered the world already on duty. There is a look in their eyes, sharp, almost searching, as if they are reading your thoughts before you even say a word. Their walk is proud, their mind alert, and to be honest, if there was a university for dogs, the German Shepherd would probably run the place, correcting the professors and organizing the graduation parade. But behind this image of strength and intelligence hides a story woven from ambition, loyalty, and a little bit of Hollywood magic. Let's step back in time to the end of the 19th century, to Germany, where towns and villages buzzed with life, and every field seemed to echo with the calls of shepherds and their dogs. Here, a man named Max von Stephanitz, a military officer with an eye for detail and a heart obsessed with working dogs, looked at the diverse herding breeds of his homeland and decided that none were quite perfect. Some were fast but scattered, others strong but stubborn, some clever but distractible. What if, he wondered, all these qualities could be combined in one extraordinary dog? At a dog show in the year 1899, Max spotted a wolf-like dog whose intelligence shone from the way he watched the crowd. This was Hector Lynxring, who would soon be renamed Horrend von Grafrath and become the first official German shepherd. Von Stephanitz saw in him not just a beautiful animal, but the foundation for a breed that would define the word utility. To Max, appearance was always less important than what a dog could do. If a shepherd dog could not work, if it could not solve problems, anticipate danger, or partner with a human, then it did not deserve the title. So began the story of the German Shepherd. Selective breeding shaped a dog that could work all day, follow complex commands, and stay calm in the face of chaos. As machines crept into the countryside and flocks grew smaller, the shepherd dog's old job started to fade. But Max was not about to let his new breed become a relic. He saw a world changing fast, and he believed the German Shepherd could change with it. War came to Europe, and with it, new needs and new dangers. During the First World War, German Shepherds proved themselves in the mud and noise of the trenches. They became messengers, carrying words where people could not. Sentries, watching through the night, rescuers, finding wounded soldiers, and even supply carriers weaving through the chaos. Their courage under fire made such an impression that soldiers from other countries brought puppies home, sparking a global fascination with the breed. But no single German Shepherd did more for the breed's reputation than a little survivor found in the rubble of France. His name was Rin Tin Tin, and he was discovered by an American soldier, Lee Duncan, who took him home to the United States. There, Rin Tin Tin became a silent film star, jumping over obstacles, saving the day, and captivating audiences everywhere. He did not just act, he inspired. At the height of his fame, thousands of fan letters poured in every week, and the German Shepherd, once a humble herder, became a household name and a symbol of loyalty and bravery. Think about this for a moment. How many dogs do you know that can claim both a heroic war record and a career in Hollywood? And yet, this is just the beginning. As the 20th century rolled on, German Shepherds proved themselves again and again as police dogs, military partners, search and rescue heroes, even as guides for the blind and helpers for people in need. Their presence brings a kind of quiet authority. There's a reason why a police K9 unit often relies on a German Shepherd. Their intelligence, discipline, and unshakable focus. But let's not forget the heart behind the uniform. Anyone who has lived with a German Shepherd knows the secret. Beneath that serious gaze is a dog who loves to play, to cuddle, and to make you laugh. They are happiest when they have a purpose, but also when they can nudge their head under your hand and get a gentle scratch. They thrive on challenge, but their true magic is the bond they form with their human, a friendship that feels as solid as a mountain. Picture one now, athletic, strong, with a long bushy tail that signals every mood, and ears that stand up as if tuned to the slightest sound. Their classic look is usually black and tan, but you will also find them in sable, all black, snow white, and rare shades like blue or liver. Their eyes, dark, watchful, understanding, seem to take in the whole room, weighing every movement and mood. Not all is perfect in their world. In recent decades, some breeders have focused on extreme appearances, sloping backs, exaggerated shapes, which has led to debates about what really matters, function or fashion. There are passionate arguments among dog lovers. Should a German Shepherd look impressive in a show ring, or should it be able to run, jump, and work all day? True fans know the heart and mind matter more than the angle of the hips. Ask yourself, have you ever wanted a dog who just gets you? Who learns not only the words you say, but the feelings you do not speak? German Shepherds do not just obey, they seem to understand. They can solve puzzles, learn complicated routines, and even anticipate your needs before you notice them yourself. With such intelligence comes responsibility. A bored German Shepherd will invent its own job, and that might involve replanting your garden or redecorating your sofa cushions. They need to think, to move, to have a purpose. That is why living with a German Shepherd is never a one-way street. It is a true partnership. You give them challenges and love. They give you loyalty, laughter, and a friendship that will last a lifetime. But even the bravest have their battles. German Shepherds can suffer from hip and elbow dysplasia, a legacy of genetics and sometimes careless breeding. Degenerative myelopathy, a disease of the spine, can affect older dogs. Yet, with wise breeding, careful exercise, and good care, these dogs remain active and alert well into old age. Most German Shepherds live between 10 and 13 years, years filled with adventures, lessons, and memories that shape their families forever. It is easy to be awed by the image, the police dog, the military hero, the guardian of home and hearth. But those who love German Shepherds know them as gentle giants, best friends, and ever-watchful companions. They will lie quietly at your feet, always ready to listen, or stand between you and trouble without a moment's hesitation. They sense your mood, nudge your hand when you are sad, and stand tall when you need confidence. They are proof that true strength is quiet, that true love is loyal, and that true partnership is built, day by day, over years. Maybe Max von Stephanitz dreamed of a perfect working dog, but what he created was something even greater, a friend who would walk beside people through wars, peace, city streets, and quiet homes. The German Shepherd is respected everywhere for courage, discipline, and heart. In a world where everything changes, these dogs remain a symbol of steadfast loyalty. So here's a thought for you. Would you trust a dog to watch over your loved ones, to guard your secrets, to bring you laughter at the end of a hard day? Millions have said yes, because a German Shepherd does not need applause or medals. It needs only a family to protect, a job to do, and someone to love. And if you ever earn the trust of a German Shepherd, you will understand why people around the world do not just respect this breed, they revere it. Some dogs chase tennis balls or bark at passing cars. Some keep watch over sheep in distant green meadows. But then there is the Newfoundland, a dog that looks at a raging sea and seems to say, "Well, if someone needs saving, I'm on my way." With a body as grand as a bear and a heart so gentle it could melt the iciest wind, the Newfoundland is more than a pet or a working dog. It is a legend on four giant, webbed paws, a creature whose entire being is tuned to care, to comfort, and, if needed, to rescue. Maybe you know one, or maybe you've simply seen the awe in a child's eyes the first time they stand beside such a friendly giant. The story of the Newfoundland starts on the jagged, wind-battered shores of Canada's Newfoundland Island. Here, survival has always been an adventure. Icy storms whip the coast, the Atlantic roars, and every day for generations meant risk and courage. Fishermen faced the ocean's fury with strong boats, tougher wills, and most importantly, a companion built for every hardship nature could invent. No one can quite agree where the breed truly began. Some say Newfoundlands are the result of native dogs mixing with Mastiffs, Great Pyrenees, maybe even mysterious Viking bear dogs brought long ago across the sea. Whatever the mix, nature's goal was clear. Make a dog who could meet the sea face to face, haul anything, and never flinch. These dogs were never bred for beauty contests or the quiet halls of palaces. They were shaped by salt, cold, and the unending work of survival. The Newfoundland hauled nets heavy with cod, dragged carts piled high with wood or supplies, and most famously, jumped into freezing waves to rescue anyone unlucky enough to fall overboard. For the old fishermen of Newfoundland, these dogs were not pets. They were full crew members. Quiet, strong, always watching. Look at a Newfoundland, really look. Their massive size is no accident. Every pound is built for a reason. To drag a grown man from water, to carry heavy loads across sand and rock, to stand firm when winds howl. The thick, double-layered coat shrugs off water like a sailor's oilskin, while a huge tail acts as a perfect rudder, steering through wild waves. Their paws, wide and webbed, are better than any pair of flippers. This is not a dog that merely tolerates water, it belongs to it. Swimming is not just a skill, it is their second nature. The tales of their heroics spread with the tides. Sailors began bringing Newfoundlands on their ships, knowing that if disaster struck, the best chance of rescue wore fur and barked. By the early 1800s, the legend had crossed oceans. In England, artists and writers fell in love with the noble image. One of the most passionate admirers was the poet Lord Byron. When his own Newfoundland, Bosun, died, Byron wrote an epic epitaph, a tribute longer and deeper than many humans ever receive. Bosun's tomb, still standing today, is bigger than Byron's own. A stone reminder of just how deep the bond between human and dog can run. But the heroism was never only poetry. Real-life stories poured in Newfoundland's diving from docks to pull drowning children from rivers, dragging lifeboats to shore, or being credited by shipwrecked sailors for their very survival. In many parts of Europe, lifeguard stations officially employed Newfoundlands. Even today, if you find yourself off the coast of Italy and spot a huge, furry figure swimming beside you, do not panic. It is probably a Newfoundland on duty. Standing next to a Newfoundland is a lesson in humility. They do not walk into a room so much as arrive, and yet, despite their size, there is never anything threatening about them. The eyes are deep and soft, always asking if you need a hug, a nap, or perhaps a heroic rescue. While the classic Newfoundland coat is black, you will also see them in chocolate brown, smoky gray, and the striking black and white Lancier pattern, named for the English painter who adored them. Their faces are broad, the expressions often wise, sometimes a little sleepy, but always understanding. As if they've seen the world, saved a few souls, and are still ready to listen to your problems. But living with a Newfoundland is not for the faint of heart, or for those with a fear of fur. Where a Newfoundland goes, drool follows. It drips, it clings, it paints masterpieces on your walls, your pants, your friends. And the fur, it finds its way everywhere, no matter how much you brush. But for their families, this is a tiny price to pay for the company of a living legend. Despite their bulk, Newfoundlands are famously gentle. Their nickname, nanny dogs, is well-earned. They are patient and protective around children, careful and calm, rarely ever barking. They do not need to make noise to command respect. Their presence is more than enough. They move through life with slow confidence, rarely in a hurry, but always with purpose. Yet, if trouble arises, a splash in the water, a sign of danger, the Newfoundland transforms in a heartbeat. Many owners have a story about being rescued during a safe swim, gently towed to shore by a dog who simply refuses to take chances with safety. As with all giants, the Newfoundland's size brings challenges. Their hearts are huge in every sense, but this makes them prone to heart problems, especially subvalvular aortic stenosis. Joint issues like hip and elbow dysplasia are common, and their big frames mean extra care is needed for healthy lives. Their lifespans, sadly, reflect these burdens. Most Newfoundlands live 8 to 10 years. The thick coat that serves so well in icy water can be a danger in heat. And these dogs truly thrive where air is cool and water is near. But every Newfoundland owner will tell you, every day with a Newfie is worth it. The slobber, the fur, the giant footprints on your kitchen floor, all these are nothing compared to the love, the protection, the gentle calm that fills a house when a Newfoundland lives there. The stories go on. A Newfoundland named Seaman traveled with explorers Lewis and Clark, guarding and comforting through uncharted wilds. Another legend tells of a Newfie who, after the sinking of the Titanic, swam for hours in icy water, guiding rescuers to lost lifeboats. True or legend, it does not matter. The core remains. This is a breed defined by acts of quiet heroism. Even now, Newfoundlands serve on water rescue teams, their instincts sharp as ever. They do not ask for medals. A job well done, a pat on the head may be a snack. Though, with a Newfoundland, Snack can mean half a roast chicken. A Newfoundland is not a dog for everyone. It is a commitment measured in bags of food, buckets of drool, but mostly in the willingness to share your life with a creature whose purpose is to give strength, care, affection. They are gentle giants who would rather plunge into cold water than see harm come to their loved ones. They are the quiet lifeguards, the patient watchers, the fluffy shadows beside your chair. Perhaps the greatest lesson the Newfoundland teaches us is that true heroism is quiet, patient, and full of kindness. In a world that celebrates speed and flash, the Newfoundland stands as a reminder that sometimes the greatest strength is simply being there when you are needed most. So next time you walk along a wild, rocky shore and see a massive, shaggy figure gazing out to sea, know that you are in the company of more than a dog. You are standing beside a legend. Some dogs were born to watch over sheep, some to guard great estates, but the Beagle was born to follow its nose, wherever that nose might lead. And make no mistake, it will lead somewhere unexpected, usually straight into your picnic basket, your neighbor's garden, or the deepest tangle of bushes you would never even think to search. There is a kind of cheerful stubbornness in every wag of a beagle's tail, and a contagious joy in that bellowing bay, one that could wake an entire street. To love a beagle is to know you will never win a battle of wills, but you will always smile at the end. But where did this floppy-eared bundle of enthusiasm and mischief come from? How did the beagle, the hound that never gives up, go from royal hunting packs to curled up beside your sofa, dreaming of stolen sandwiches? To answer that, let's wander back through time. Like many old breeds, the beagle's true origin is a bit foggy. Perhaps because its ancestors were always too busy chasing scents to sit still for a portrait or pedigree. What we do know is that, for thousands of years, little scent hounds have existed across Europe and beyond. The Greeks and Romans hunted with compact hounds that tracked rabbits and small game on foot. No galloping horses or trumpeting horns required, just steady feet and a nose that could find a trail in the morning dew. These dogs were made for hunters who valued patience and persistence over speed. Jump to medieval England, and the name Beagle starts to pop up, possibly from a French word for open throat or baying, which, if you have ever heard a beagle at full volume, makes perfect sense. Some of the earliest beagles were so small they were known as pocket beagles. Tiny enough, it is said, to fit into a hunter's saddlebag or even to parade around Queen Elizabeth I's table, to the delight of her guests. These little dogs were not just decoration, though. They were born for the hunt. The beagle as we know it truly took shape in the 18th and 19th centuries, during the heyday of fox and hare hunting in England. While larger hounds chased foxes, beagles were the dog of choice for those after hares. Their job was as straightforward as it was demanding. Follow a hare's scent across fields and hedgerows, baying to let hunters know they were on the right track. The beagle's manageable size made them perfect for hunters on foot. No horse required, making the joy of the chase accessible to everyone from country farmers to city gentlemen on holiday. And then there's that legendary nose. The Beagle's sense of smell is among the finest in the dog world, second only to the Bloodhound. With around 220 million scent receptors, compared to the paltry 5 million in a human. Once a Beagle picks up a trail, the rest of the world falls away. There is just the scent, the chase, and a single-minded joy that simply cannot be interrupted. Have you ever tried to call a Beagle back mid-sniff? Good luck! Yet it was not only their skill that won hearts. The Beagle's cheerful, sunny temperament turned hunters into lifelong fans and made families fall in love. By the mid-1800s, Beagles had hopped the Atlantic to America, where they quickly became favorites among hunters and families alike. The American Kennel Club recognized the breed in the year 1885. And after that, the Beagle's fame only grew. People loved their sturdy size, playful nature, and those eyes, deep brown, always hopeful, always scheming for a snack. But it was more than hunters and children who noticed what Beagles could do. Their extraordinary noses and friendly faces made them perfect for new kinds of work. Today, at airports and border crossings around the world, Beagles serve in the famous Beagle Brigade, sniffing out smuggled food and plants that travelers try to sneak in. With their wagging tails and unthreatening size, they make passengers smile, until they find that forbidden sausage tucked in a suitcase. Let's be honest. A Beagle will follow its nose anywhere, and if you are not careful, it might lead them right out of your garden or even through a clever escape route of their own invention. They are famous for their stubbornness and independent thinking. Training a Beagle requires patience, creativity, and a healthy supply of treats, because praise alone is rarely enough to distract them from an interesting smell. And that voice. The classic Beagle bay is a sound you will never forget, a deep, echoing bark that seems impossibly large for such a compact dog. Once bred to signal a scent in the wild, it now often announces that a squirrel has dared cross the yard, or simply that dinner is late. If the neighborhood has gone quiet, you can count on a Beagle to remind everyone it is time for a little excitement. Most Beagles sport the classic coat, a tricolor patchwork of black, white, and tan. But you will also see them in lemon, red and white, chocolate, and every houndy shade in between. They are not built for sprinting glory, but for endless endurance, content to follow a scent for miles if you let them, completely ignoring your requests to come back. Living with a Beagle is a dance between admiration and outsmarting. They are loving, playful, and endlessly enthusiastic. They adore people, make friends with other dogs, and bring the energy of a carnival to everyday life. But with that joy comes stubbornness. Remember, these are hounds who were bred to follow their instincts, not always your instructions. Health-wise, Beagles are generally robust and can live 12 to 15 happy years. Their love of food, though, is legendary. A Beagle left alone with a trash can, backpack, or even a closed pantry door is a Beagle planning its next feast. This appetite makes them prone to weight gain, so owners need to keep a watchful eye on treats and exercise. Floppy ears, while adorable, can trap moisture and dirt, sometimes leading to infections, especially after a good romp in the brush. Still, they are tough little dogs, playful and active well into old age. And as for fame, no dog has conquered pop culture quite like the Beagle. There is Snoopy, of course, the Beagle who imagines himself a flying ace and brings a quiet heroism to every comic strip. American presidents have loved them. Lyndon Johnson had two named him and her. Cartoonists, filmmakers, advertisers, all are drawn to that floppy-eared charm. The Beagle story is one of joy, persistence, and a certain refusal to take life too seriously. Whether following a hare through the fields of England, sniffing for contraband at customs, or napping on your pillow after a kitchen adventure, the Beagle does it all with gusto, a wagging tail, and a sense that every day is meant to be lived, savored, and, if possible, shared with a snack. So, if you ever wonder what it is like to live with a Beagle, ask yourself, are you ready for laughter, clever tricks, and a dog who greets every morning as the start of a brand new adventure? Because at the core of every Beagle, there is a simple, irresistible truth. Life is best when you follow your nose and enjoy the journey, especially if it leads to something delicious. When you first spot a Rottweiler, you might notice the powerful frame, the measured step, and those deep, thinking eyes that seem to weigh every moment before deciding it's time for a friendly wag. For some people, that look might seem intimidating, but for anyone lucky enough to share life with a Rottweiler, it's pure comfort. Because once a Rottweiler lets you into its heart, you have more than a guardian. You have a comedian, a coworker, a soft-hearted best friend, all wrapped up in a dog built like a tank and just as dependable. To truly know this breed, we have to go way, way back, long before Germany even existed as we know it. The story begins almost 2,000 years ago beneath the banners of the Roman Empire. As Roman legions swept across Europe, they did not march alone. Beside them trotted powerful Mastiff-type dogs, broad-chested, brave, and bred, for every challenge an empire could throw at them. These were not just companions. They were workers, herders, guardians of supply lines, and when necessary, even soldiers, last line of defense. When the Romans reached the green valleys of what would one day be southern Germany, they built settlements to support their campaigns. One such settlement, later called Rottweil, would become a legend. When the empire eventually collapsed, the dogs remained, adapting to a quieter life in a land of merchants and farmers. The descendants of those Roman dogs became the backbone of the local economy. As Rottweil grew famous for its bustling cattle markets, these strong, clever dogs found their new calling as the Metzgerhund or butcher's dog. They herded cattle, kept even the most stubborn bulls in line, and most crucially, protected the day's earnings. Picture this. In medieval times, when a butcher finished a hard day's work, he would tuck his money bag around his Rottweiler's neck for the long walk home. No thief in their right mind would mess with a Rottweiler on guard. These weren't just dogs. They were business partners. They had to be smart enough to herd livestock, strong enough to protect, and loyal enough to be trusted with a family's entire fortune. But as centuries passed and technology changed the world, the jobs that once made the Rottweiler essential began to vanish. Trains and cars replaced long cattle drives, and for a while, the breed nearly disappeared. Only a handful of enthusiasts kept it alive, believing these dogs could do much more than just herd cattle. And as the world modernized, new jobs appeared. Police forces and military units looked for dogs who could combine strength with intelligence and calm with courage. Rottweilers fit that role perfectly. Their discipline, protective instinct, and clear-headed confidence made them the ideal K9 partner. It's this balance of power and poise that makes the Rottweiler so special. Unlike breeds that rush to bark at the smallest sound, the Rottweiler quietly watches, sizes up the situation, and only acts if truly needed. Their confidence is quiet, almost understated, but absolutely unshakable. Their black coat, set off by distinctive rust markings, shines in the sun, and their broad head carries an expression that can go from serious to affectionate in a heartbeat, especially when family is involved. Speaking of family, here's the truth every Rottweiler person knows. The bigger and tougher the dog, the softer the heart. Sure, a Rottweiler will patrol the yard like a soldier, but inside, you'll find a goofball who will roll over for belly rubs, try to wedge onto your lap, whether or not they fit, and gently carry a toddler's toy with a tenderness that will melt anyone's heart. Rottweilers are affectionate shadows, following you from room to room, leaning against your leg just to let you know they are there. With children, they are often patient and sweet, naturally falling into the role of watchful older sibling. Of course, these dogs need guidance. A Rottweiler without structure is like a brilliant mind left without direction. It might just decide to take charge of the entire household, and good luck convincing them otherwise. They were bred to think for themselves, to make decisions while working or guarding, so they carry a sense of independence and responsibility. And while the world sometimes gets the Rottweiler wrong, painting them as aggressive or dangerous, anyone who truly knows the breed will tell you the truth. Rottweilers are defined not by aggression, but by loyalty and calm confidence. They are protective, yes, but never reckless. A well-bred, well-trained Rottweiler doesn't look for trouble. It simply waits, watches, and acts only when absolutely necessary. But even the toughest dogs have their battles. Like many large breeds, Rottweilers can face challenges with hip and elbow dysplasia, certain heart conditions, and even bone cancer more frequently than some other dogs. Their average lifespan is 8 to 10 years, though with careful breeding and plenty of exercise, many enjoy much longer, active lives. It's not just their bodies that need work, their minds do too. A bored Rottweiler isn't destructive out of spite. It's just a working dog with nowhere to put its energy. Give them a job, a task, or even a puzzle to solve, and you'll have a happy, fulfilled companion. Today, Rottweilers wear many hats. You'll find them working alongside police and rescue teams, serving as therapy animals, or simply guarding the people they love at home. They might look imposing, but the real Rottweiler legacy is one of sensitivity, humor, and unshakable loyalty. Give them respect, training, and love, and they will give you everything in return. Maybe that's why, once you've been loved by a Rottweiler, you wonder how you ever felt truly safe without one. When you see that big, thoughtful dog calmly watch over your family, or gently press its head into your lap after a long day, you'll understand the magic. The Rottweiler doesn't just guard your house. It guards your trust. It guards your heart. If you have ever shared your life with a Rottweiler, you know. It is not about fear or power. It is about partnership, resilience, and a history that stretches back through centuries of change. Through it all, the Rottweiler stands steady, a true friend, a protector, a clown, and most of all, a loyal soul who will stand by you, no matter what. When people hear the word poodle, the first thing that comes to mind is often a pampered, stylish dog trotting along a Parisian street. Its curls as perfect as a movie star's hair, eyes bright and expecting to be admired. But look past the glamour, and you'll find a story full of surprise, cleverness, and grit. A tale where beauty and brains aren't opposites, but partners in a dog that's been working and reinventing itself for centuries. Despite the French associations and their status as a national icon, poodles actually began their journey in Germany. The word poodle comes from Pudelhund, which simply means splashing dog. And if you've ever watched a poodle hit the water, you'll know it's the perfect name. Before they became icons of style, poodles were the retrievers of chilly lakes, leaping after ducks and swimming with the power and focus of a true working dog. Long before the show ring and the salon, the poodle was all about utility. Hunters relied on them to fetch game from rivers and lakes. It was the French, however, who took that rugged, water-loving dog and polished it until it gleamed, refining its appearance, shaping those signature clips, and turning the poodle into a symbol of elegance and charm. But under every chic exterior beats the heart of an athlete, a survivor, a partner ready for any challenge. Let's talk about the most famous style statement in dogdom, the poodle haircut. For centuries, people have joked about those pom-poms and top knots, but the original poodle clip was not about vanity. It was a kind of sportswear, designed to protect joints and organs from cold water, while shaving other areas to allow for easy movement. The look caught on, and over time, those practical trims became the elaborate grooms you see today, a wink to both fashion and function. Every time a poodle steps into a show ring, that style is a tribute to its roots as a fearless, icy water retriever. Perhaps the poodle's greatest talent has always been its ability to adapt without losing itself. Over the years, breeders recognized the versatility of the breed and created 3 distinct sizes. The standard poodle, tall and athletic, was the original hunter and swimmer. The miniature poodle, bred smaller, excelled as a truffle hunter and urban companion, perfectly sized for Paris apartments. And finally, the toy poodle, tiny, clever, and just right for sitting in a noble's lap on a long carriage ride, or curling up next to an artist at a cafe. No matter the size, every poodle carries the same spark: curiosity, playfulness, and the drive to learn. If there were a doggy intelligence contest, the poodle would be up front, probably organizing the rules and correcting the score. They learn quickly, often picking up new commands after just a few repetitions. But what makes a poodle special isn't just obedience. It's the way they think, solving problems, opening doors, finding the treat you thought you'd hidden too well, and sometimes outsmarting their humans in ways that are as hilarious as they are humbling. This genius has made the poodle a star far beyond the duck blind. In the circus, poodles danced, jumped, and even acted in costume. Old paintings are full of curly performers stealing the show. Today, their talents shine in obedience trials, agility courses, therapy work, and even in films. They're just as at home weaving through obstacles as they are comforting patients or delighting children in hospitals. For centuries, poodles have mixed with royalty and commoners alike. Kings, queens, and poets have loved them, and even Napoleon's wife, Josephine, used her poodle as a secret messenger when she was imprisoned. But through all the fame and finery, the poodle never lost its touch with ordinary life. Farmers, hunters, city dwellers, and performers all found something to love in this adaptable, hypoallergenic dog. One whose coat, if properly cared for, barely sheds at all, making it a favorite for families with allergies. By the 20th century, poodles had become a global phenomenon, showing up in movies, suburban homes, and everywhere a clever, lovable companion was needed. The American Kennel Club recognized the breed in the year 1887, sealing their place among the world's favorites. Here's a secret. Underneath the stylish curls is a body built for sport. The standard poodle is surprisingly strong and athletic, an agile swimmer and a tireless runner. Poodles, in all sizes, thrive when given a job, whether that's fetching, running, or mastering new skills. Left without enough challenge, they'll create their own entertainment, sometimes by rearranging your furniture or figuring out how to open a gate you thought was secure. They're playful, a little bit mischievous, and always a few steps ahead of you. Poodles are usually healthy and long-lived, especially for purebred dogs. Standards can face issues like hip dysplasia or certain immune disorders, while miniatures and toys are more prone to eye and joint problems. Their beautiful coats, which keep shedding to a minimum, need regular brushing and trimming. Otherwise, your elegant companion can quickly resemble a curly mop with legs. Most poodle owners, though, find that grooming is a special time to connect, a ritual that becomes part of their bond. With the right care, poodles often live into their mid-teens, staying sharp, lively, and just a little sassy to the very end. And while their looks have inspired a wave of new mixes, the whole doodle revolution of Labradoodles, Golden Doodles, Bernedoodles, and beyond. Let's be honest, it's the poodle that brings the smarts and the curls to every combination. Despite all the changes, the poodle's heart is the same as it ever was. Give a poodle a ball, a pond, and a bit of encouragement, and you'll see the working dog under the glamour, the playful spirit, the athlete, the thinker. The poodle's story is a reminder that true elegance is not just about how you look, but about how you rise to every challenge and adapt without losing your soul. So next time you see a poodle trotting by, chin high, curls bouncing, remember, you're not just seeing a pretty face. You're meeting a survivor, a genius, a working-class hero who can charm a king and outthink a circus. The poodle's secret is simple. Brains and beauty are never far apart, especially if you're clever enough to see both. Some breeds were built to run, others to swim or guard, but the Dachshund was built to dig, fearlessly, tirelessly, and with a confidence so bold it sometimes borders on comical. With a body shaped like a loaf of bread set atop 4 determined little legs, the Dachshund is instantly recognizable anywhere in the world. Yet beneath that charming silhouette and those deep, soulful eyes lies a story filled with bravery, tenacity, and a dash of stubborn genius. This isn't just a cute dog in a funny shape. It's a legend in fur, born to hunt and never willing to accept no as an answer. To really understand the Dachshund, you have to forget everything you've ever heard about lapdogs. Even the name is a clue. In German, Dach means badger and Hund means dog. That's right, this dog was bred specifically to go head-to-head with badgers in 15th century Germany. A task that most creatures with any sense would happily avoid. Hunters needed a dog that was brave enough to chase sharp-clawed badgers into underground tunnels, low and flexible enough to fit in those burrows, and strong enough to dig, bark, and if needed, even fight to drive the animal out. So they created the Dachshund, long, muscular, and absolutely fearless. Its chest is deep for powerful lungs, its front legs strong and shovel-like, its attitude utterly unstoppable. In the earliest days, Dachshunds were much larger than most of the companions we see today. Some weighed as much as 35 pounds, built for toughness, not just charm. And while badgers were their specialty, different sizes soon appeared for hunting everything from foxes and rabbits to, believe it or not, wild boar. Imagine a dog barely longer than your arm chasing after an animal 10 times its size and winning. As the world changed and Europe became more modern, the Dachshund's original job began to fade. But their spirit and cleverness meant they quickly found new places in people's homes and hearts. By the 17th and 18th centuries, Dachshunds were popping up in royal courts, admired for their spunk and wit. They played at the feet of nobles and even snuggled on laps, turning more playful and charming as time passed. Breeders began to focus on making smaller, more companionable versions, miniature Dachshunds that fit just as well in elegant parlors as they once did in muddy fields. Queen Victoria herself adored Dachshunds, famously claiming that nothing made a house feel like a castle quite so quickly as a Dachshund. And when royalty speaks, trends tend to follow. One of the Dachshund's great charms, beyond that unforgettable silhouette, is its variety. Over the centuries, 3 coat types developed, each a nod to the breed's working roots. There's the smooth-haired Dachshund, sleek and practical for slipping through narrow tunnels. The wire-haired, a scruffy little adventurer built to handle brambles and thorns. And the long-haired, with elegant waves that look fit for royalty, but were just as handy in colder climates. Each type comes with its own personality quirks. Wiry ones often the boldest, long-haireds a touch more laid back, and the smooths somewhere in between. but they all share that same courage, cleverness, and a stubborn streak as long as their bodies. Ask any Dachshund owner and they'll tell you, this is not a dog that blindly obeys. Dachshunds are thinkers, born to make decisions on the fly, and if you ask them to do something, they'll consider it, maybe even negotiate, before choosing whether it's worth their time. After all, when you're underground face-to-face with a badger, there's no time to wait for instructions. That independent spirit lives on as what many owners fondly call selective hearing. Training a Dachshund isn't about dominance. It's about patience, humor, and sometimes a bit of creative bribery. But once a Dachshund decides your family, you have a protector for life, whether from squirrels, mailmen, or that suspicious garden gnome. Their loyalty is fierce, their affection deep, and their desire to keep their pack safe never seems to fade. Of course, being so unique hasn't always been easy. During the World Wars, anti-German sentiment led to a drop in the Dachshund's popularity in places like Britain and the United States. Some people tried to rebrand them as Liberty Hounds to protect them from backlash. But after the wars, the Dachshund's charm won hearts all over again. Today, nobody remembers the politics, just the personality. Still, that long back, the breed's trademark, does come with risks. Dachshunds are prone to intervertebral disc disease, which can cause pain or even paralysis, especially if they jump from heights or climb too many stairs. Responsible owners learn to keep a close eye on their dogs, discouraging risky leaps, though try stopping a Dachshund with a scent to chase or a snack to steal. Despite these quirks, Dachshunds are tough little survivors, often living well into their teens with good care. Their size and spirit make them adaptable to almost any living situation. As long as there's enough adventure, play, and attention. Few breeds have captured the imagination of the world quite like the Dachshund. Artists, cartoonists, and advertisers can't resist their funny shape and big personality. They've been painted by Picasso, celebrated at Oktoberfest, and turned into plush toys, mugs, and of course, Halloween costumes shaped like hot dogs. Every year, crowds gather to watch the famous Dachshund races. A sea of tiny legs, big ears, and enormous enthusiasm. Though some participants get distracted mid-race for a sniff or a chat with a new friend. The Dachshund is living proof that being different is something to be celebrated. What began as a fearless hunter has become a loyal companion, a cultural icon, and a daily reminder that size and shape have nothing to do with spirit. Stubborn? Yes. Lovable? Absolutely. Forever ready to burrow under the covers or stand guard at the door. The Dachshund is always up for a new adventure, one determined step at a time, on legs that barely reach the ground, but with a spirit that soars. If there were an award for the dog most likely to make your whole day better, the Golden Retriever would win it, paws down, every single time. With that forever smiling face, a tail that seems to operate on its own cheerful frequency, and a heart so generous it could light up a room, the Golden Retriever is not just a dog. It's a daily celebration of kindness, fun, and connection. But how did this walking ray of sunshine come to be? Why is it called a retriever? And what transformed it from a Scottish nobleman's dream to the most beloved companion in so many corners of the world? This is the story of how the golden retriever became, well, truly golden. Our journey begins in 19th century Scotland, on rainy green estates where hunting was less a necessity and more a gentleman's passion project. Enter Lord Tweedmouth, a man with a vision, a title, and clearly a lot of enthusiasm for dogs. He didn't just want a hunting dog. He wanted the best. A dog that could chase down game in the harsh Scottish Highlands, retrieve it from water and land, and do all this with style and grace. In 1868, Lord Tweedmouth took a leap of faith. He crossed a wavy-coated retriever with a rare Tweed water spaniel named Belle, a breed now lost to time, but famous then for its loyalty and swimming skills. The result? A litter of puppies that inherited intelligence, a love of water, soft mouths for gentle retrieving, and most importantly, that glorious golden coat. This was the start of something new, a dog that would eventually become the golden retriever. Lord Tweedmouth kept refining the breed, adding a little bloodhound for scent, a bit of Irish setter for flair. By the end of the 19th century, his golden dogs were turning heads at every hunt. Still, the name didn't come easy. At first, these beauties were called yellow retrievers or golden flat coats, names that sound more like breakfast than best friend material. It wasn't until 1911 that the Kennel Club in the United Kingdom officially used the words retriever, yellow, or golden, and 9 years later, they wisely settled on golden retriever. The American Kennel Club recognized the breed in 1925, and from there, the golden retriever's worldwide takeover truly began. Let's take a moment to appreciate the looks. A golden retriever is not just a pretty face, it is a symphony of pretty faces, with shades ranging from creamy pale to deep copper. The breed standard calls for a thick, water-resistant double coat, perfect for a chilly Scottish pond or a wild backyard adventure. Their eyes are soft and expressive, always wearing that "I'm just happy to be here" look. Their ears flop forward as if hanging on your every word, even if they're really just waiting for the sound of a treat jar opening. And their tail, that feathery flag of joy, can clear a table in one enthusiastic swipe. Fun fact, British Goldens tend to be a bit stockier and lighter in color. American ones are a little sleeker and darker, while Canadian Goldens are somewhere in between. But whatever the variety, happiness seems to be their native language. What really sets the golden retriever apart is its temperament. Friendly, patient, eager to please, and let's be honest, a terrible guard dog. If a burglar came in, there's a good chance the golden would leave with your TV and a new friend. Their intelligence is legendary, but so is their playfulness. Chewed shoes, missing socks, random zoomies through the living room, these are all part of the package. But it's the golden's kindness that people never forget. These dogs seem to understand moods, comfort children, and quietly become what you need most. Whether that's a partner for adventure or a gentle, listening presence. Though they were bred to retrieve waterfowl, Goldens quickly took on a host of other jobs. Today, they are the Swiss Army knife of the dog world. Their intelligence and steady temperament make them brilliant guide dogs for the visually impaired, patient therapy animals in hospitals and schools. Search and rescue heroes with noses that can find the lost, and even contraband detection dogs. Though they'll sniff out a suitcase with a wagging tail, not a snarl. Goldens have taken over Hollywood, too. From sports movies to commercials, they always seem to play the role of the lovable family pet. They wear it well because they truly are that dog. But no breed is perfect. Sadly, golden retrievers are prone to a few health problems. Cancer is heartbreakingly common, affecting up to 60% of Goldens in the United States. Hip and elbow dysplasia, heart issues, eye troubles, allergies, and those floppy ears that love to trap water can all crop up. Their average lifespan is about 10 to 12 years, though some with excellent care live much longer. Regular vet visits, a healthy diet, and maybe keeping that loaf of bread out of reach will help them live the fullest, happiest life possible. Still, nothing can dampen the golden spirit. They hold world records, like Finley the Golden, who once fit 6 tennis balls in his mouth, because why stop at one? They have the legendary soft mouth retriever skill, able to carry even a raw egg without cracking it. Goldens have statues in their honor, like Frida in Mexico, credited with saving lives in disaster zones. There are gatherings like Goldapalooza and massive group photos at the breed's Scottish birthplace. Hundreds of tails wagging in unison, a living cloud of gold. So why did the golden retriever become the ultimate family dog, therapy worker, and ambassador of good vibes? Because they simply embody the best parts of us. Loyalty, enthusiasm for simple joys, kindness, and the ability to love with abandon. To a golden, you are always the center of the universe, and they remind us to find wonder in even the smallest things. From the misty Scottish hills to family couches and internet fame, the golden retriever's journey is much more than the story of a breed. It's a lesson in connection between people and animals, between joy and the everyday moments we sometimes overlook. Yes, they shed on everything. Yes, they'll splash in every mud puddle. But when a golden retriever leans in with those soulful eyes, suddenly the mess doesn't matter. Because these dogs aren't just golden in color, they're golden at heart. When most people think of a Yorkshire Terrier, they see a glamorous little dog with a glossy coat, maybe a ribbon in its hair, poking out from a fancy handbag, or parading across a city sidewalk like it owns the block. But beneath that polished exterior is a history full of grit and fight. A tale that starts not with fashion, but with factories, and a battle not against wolves or burglars, but against one of humanity's oldest adversaries, the rat. Before the Yorkshire Terrier became a symbol of style and sophistication, it was a worker, small but mighty, fast and clever, brave enough to dart into the shadows and chase down vermin in the noisy chaos of 19th century Yorkshire. Life in those days was hard. The mills, mines, and textile factories buzzed and clattered with the sounds of industry. And wherever there was food, warmth, and waste, there were rats, lots of them. The workers needed a solution that could squeeze into tight spaces, outwit quick-moving rodents, and survive in a tough environment. Enter the ancestors of the Yorkie, a scrappy mix of terriers from Scotland, brought south by workers seeking jobs in England's booming north. These early Yorkies were bred for efficiency, not elegance. They were likely a blend of the Paisley Terrier, the now extinct Clydesdale Terrier, and a few other wiry, tough-as-nails ratters. Through careful selection, a new type of terrier emerged, small enough to fit in a pocket, fierce enough to face rats that often matched them in size, and clever enough to outthink their prey. Thus, the Yorkshire Terrier was born not as a lapdog, but as a fearless little hunter with a nose for trouble. Yet it didn't take long before people noticed something special. These little dogs, tough as they were, had style, a blue and tan coat as fine as silk, shiny and soft, catching the eye of anyone who looked twice. Suddenly, the Yorkie was more than just a ratter. It was a conversation starter, a showpiece, and soon enough, a favorite in the drawing rooms of England's upper class. By the late 1800s, the breed made its way from factory floor to show ring. Breeders focused on refining the coat, making it longer, silkier, and more brilliant, while keeping that terrier courage alive inside. In 1886, the Kennel Club in the United Kingdom officially recognized the Yorkshire Terrier as its own breed. What had once been a working-class hero was now a symbol of Victorian elegance. Though anyone who tried to treat a Yorkie like a piece of jewelry quickly discovered that this little dog still packed the heart of a street fighter. The Yorkie helped create what we now call the toy group of dog breeds. But unlike many lapdogs bred just for company, the Yorkshire Terrier never forgot its roots. Even as breeders sought smaller and smaller versions to fit on laps and in purses, the breed kept its big personality, fearless, quick-witted, and always a little bit bossy. In the 20th century, the Yorkshire Terrier took its place among the world's favorite companions. City dwellers loved their size and sass. Their unique look, energy, and sharp minds made them natural stars, both in fashionable salons and on bustling city sidewalks. Yet for all the bows and brushed coats, the Yorkie remained a terrier through and through. Alert, vocal, stubborn, and suspicious of anything that squeaks or moves too quickly. The most legendary Yorkie in history wasn't a show dog, but a wartime hero. During World War II, a tiny dog named Smokey was found in a foxhole in New Guinea by an American soldier. Smokey weighed only 4 pounds, but she quickly proved herself as more than just a mascot. She ran telegraph wires through pipes too small and dangerous for people, survived 150 air raids, performed tricks to entertain the troops, and even worked as an early therapy dog, comforting wounded soldiers in hospitals. Her story is a testament to the breed's courage, cleverness, and unwavering spirit, even in the harshest conditions. Today, the Yorkshire Terrier is easy to spot. A coat of steel blue and warm tan, usually grown long and parted down the middle in show dogs, though most pet owners prefer the easier puppy cut. The Yorkie's hair grows like a human's, so regular grooming is essential. Beneath all that finery is a compact, athletic frame, typically not more than 7 pounds, but with a confidence that makes them seem 10 times bigger. Their bright, curious eyes are always on alert, their upright ears tuned in to every sound, ready to announce a leaf blowing by or a stranger at the door. If the Yorkie had a motto, it would be, "I may be small, but I'm in charge." True to their terrier roots, they're bold, smart, and full of opinions. They're fiercely loyal, often forming a close bond with 1 or 2 people and shadowing them everywhere. Their watchful nature makes them excellent, if pint-sized, guard dogs, quick to sound the alarm, always on the lookout. Training a Yorkie takes patience and a sense of humor. They learn quickly but will decide for themselves whether they're interested. Treats, praise, and a bit of gentle negotiation go much further than force. For all their energy and confidence, Yorkies are loving and affectionate, happiest when they're at the center of family life. Whether that's joining you on errands or snuggling up close at the end of the day, always keeping an eye on everything. With good care, many Yorkies live well into their teens, some reaching 15 years or more. But their small size comes with challenges: dental issues, fragile bones, knee problems, sensitive stomachs, and a tendency to launch themselves from furniture as if gravity were optional. Today, Yorkshire Terriers are just as popular as ever, city favorites, social media darlings, and still the bosses of any house they enter. They've starred in movies, trotted beside celebrities, and ruled countless Instagram feeds. But deep down, every Yorkie carries the spirit of its factory-working ancestors. Brave, clever, never to be underestimated, and always ready to defend its home, no matter the odds. The Yorkie's journey from the soot-stained mills of northern England to the sparkling salons and living rooms of the world is a story of resilience, charm, and a refusal to be overlooked. They may strut with bows and bravado, but it's their heart, full of loyalty, attitude, and courage, that wins the world over, one tiny paw at a time. Some dogs were born to run, others to retrieve or herd. The Cane Corso, though, was bred to stand steady, shoulder to shoulder with its people, never backing down, never showing off, simply watching over everything that matters. With a body that looks like it's been sculpted from stone, a gaze that measures rather than pleads, and a quiet confidence that fills a room without a sound, the Cane Corso is unmistakable. This is not a dog that begs for treats or craves strangers' approval. It knows who it is. It knows its purpose. And it performs that duty with devotion that feels ancient. To really understand the Cane Corso, you have to travel back to a time when the fate of an empire could rest on the loyalty of a single dog. The story starts in ancient Italy, not in the palaces of emperors, but on battlefields under the open sky. The Cane Corso descends from the Canis pugnax, the legendary war dogs of the Roman legions. These were not lap dogs or mere companions. They marched alongside soldiers, charged into battle, guarded encampments, and stood watch at the edge of civilization. Their power, their courage, their unwavering loyalty were legendary. And as the Roman Empire expanded across Europe, so too did the reputation of these Mastiff-type guardians. When the empire fell, the Cane Corso did not vanish. It adapted. In the rolling hills and farms of southern Italy, the descendants of those Roman dogs found new jobs, protecting livestock and families, pulling carts, herding cattle, and even hunting wild boar. The very name gives away the breed's calling. Cane simply means dog, while Corso likely comes from cohors, the Latin for guardian or protector. This was not a pet for show. It was a partner for survival. For generations, the Cane Corso was the silent hero of the Italian countryside, always present, always reliable, always just a step away from whatever needed protecting. Its build was different from the heavy-set English or Neapolitan Mastiffs. The Corso was leaner, faster, more agile, but no less imposing. With broad jaws, a noble head, and muscles rippling beneath its short coat, the Corso could intimidate simply by standing still. Yet it was never just about strength. Intelligence, adaptability, and self-control were the qualities that set the Corso apart. But times changed. As Italy industrialized, the need for farm guardians and boar hunters faded. The world was moving faster, and for a while, the Cane Corso nearly disappeared. By the middle of the 20th century, 2 world wars and shifting ways of life had left the breed at the edge of extinction. Only a few Corsos survived, hidden in remote villages where the old traditions lingered. Then, in the 1970s, a small group of Italian enthusiasts recognized what was at stake and began the long work of saving the breed. They traveled the countryside, seeking out the last true Corsos and starting careful breeding programs to bring the dog back from the brink. Their dedication paid off. In 1994, the breed was officially recognized in Italy. It gained recognition from international dog organizations soon after and was welcomed into the American Kennel Club in 2010. The Guardian had returned, not as a memory, but as a living presence ready for a new world. You cannot mistake a Cane Corso. Standing nearly 2.5 feet at the shoulder, weighing as much as a person, with a short, dense coat in shades of black, gray, fawn, red, or brindle, the Corso's look is all quiet strength. Some still have cropped ears and docked tails, a nod to their working past. But more and more, Corsos are seen with their natural features, their alert eyes taking in everything around them. Yet for all their physical power, Cane Corsos are not brutes. Their temperament can be summed up in one word: devotion. They live for their people. They bond deeply, becoming shadows who follow you from room to room, leaning gently against your leg just to remind you that you are never alone. With strangers, a Corso will not rush to greet. It will watch, wait, and decide if a tail wag is earned. But with family, they are gentle, affectionate, sometimes even silly, quietly leaning in for attention, always aware of every shift in mood. This loyalty comes with responsibility. The Cane Corso is not for the novice or the half-hearted. It needs a leader, someone who can set clear boundaries, provide structure, and show, day by day, what is expected. Without guidance, a Corso will take charge, not out of arrogance, but out of a sense of duty. After all, someone must protect the home, and if you do not lead, they will. But with the right training, calm, confident, and consistent, a Cane Corso thrives, eager to learn, eager to please, eager to work. Boredom is the enemy. A working dog without work will find its own job, and you may not appreciate their version of home improvement. Regular exercise, mental challenges, and jobs to do, whether it's obedience, agility, protection work, or simply helping with daily routines, keep a Corso happy and balanced. Like many large breeds, the Corso faces certain health risks: hip and elbow dysplasia, heart conditions, and a lifespan that averages 9 to 12 years. But with thoughtful breeding, good food, exercise, and regular vet care, many Corsos live long, healthy lives, each year deepening that unique bond with their family. In the modern world, the Cane Corso has found new ways to serve. They guard homes and estates, compete in dog sports, and most of all, provide the quiet comfort of a true companion to families who understand what it means to live with a dog bred to protect, to think, and to love with all its heart. The Cane Corso is not a breed for everyone, and it doesn't need to be. It doesn't seek fame or flattery, only respect and purpose. A family to stand by, to guard, and to love silently and steadfastly. To be loved by a Cane Corso is to experience a loyalty that runs deeper than words. It's a trust built quietly, day after day, until you realize that you are never truly alone. There is always a pair of calm, steady eyes watching, not with suspicion, but with love. And in that gaze, you understand why, for centuries, people have placed their faith, their homes, and their hearts in the care of this extraordinary guardian, the Cane Corso, the protector who never needed words to say, "You're safe. I'm here." The Pomeranian, a pint-sized puffball with the heart of a monarch and the confidence of a lion. Some dogs were meant to herd, others to chase, but the Pomeranian was bred to command, or at the very least, to act as if it owns everything it surveys. With a thick plume of fur, a fox-bright grin, and a swagger that could make even the most serious onlooker smile, the Pomeranian is living proof that true charisma isn't measured in inches, but in attitude. It's almost unbelievable, staring at the little fluff with its dainty paws and dramatic tail, to imagine its ancestors were once burly Arctic sled dogs. That's right, today's pocket-sized Pomeranian comes from the Spitz family, a hardy group of northern breeds with thick coats, upright ears, and a tail curled proudly over the back. These were not dainty lap dogs, but robust workers, bred to haul sleds, herd livestock, and survive bitterly cold climates. Their home was the Baltic region of Pomerania, a land of icy winds and sprawling forests that now straddles parts of Poland and Germany. In those days, Pomeranians were medium to large-sized, valued not only for their endurance, but for their booming bark that could put intruders, animal or human, on edge. But as Europe's society changed, so did the destiny of the Pomeranian. When Queen Charlotte brought a pair of these Spitz dogs to England in the 18th century, they were still sizable, nowhere near as tiny as the puffs we see today. The real transformation came with Queen Victoria, who during a visit to Italy in 1888 fell in love with a 12-pound Pomeranian named Marco. From that moment, the Queen's passion for smaller Poms kicked off a breeding frenzy. Breeders quickly began selecting for compact size, and soon the miniature version we know today became the new standard. By the end of her reign, Queen Victoria owned more than 30 Pomeranians, and the breed's popularity soared throughout Europe, becoming a symbol of sophistication and royal flair. Despite their dramatic change in stature, the modern Pomeranian retains that larger-than-life attitude. At a glance, they might look like walking pom-poms, but under that voluminous double coat is a surprisingly sturdy body and a personality that could easily fill a palace. Most weigh between 3 and 7 pounds, yet carry themselves with the poise of a king. Their fox-like faces and almond-shaped eyes radiate intelligence and curiosity, while their ears twitch with every sound, a sure sign they're supervising your every move. The tail, a proud feathery arch over the back, completes the regal look, and their coat comes in nearly every color imaginable, from fiery orange to midnight black, snowy white to chocolate and blue. But don't be fooled by the fur. Pomeranians are not just fluffy accessories. They're vigilant little watchdogs, quick to sound the alarm at anything they deem suspicious. A shadow on the wall, a squirrel in the yard, or simply the postman daring to cross the driveway. They're smart, fast learners, but they come equipped with a stubborn streak. Training a Pomeranian is often less about teaching them new tricks and more about convincing them that your idea is actually their idea. They adore attention and love to perform. Whether it's spinning in circles on command, learning a new trick, or simply strutting down the street, knowing everyone is watching. Over the centuries, Pomeranians have mingled with more than just royalty. They've won the hearts of artists, musicians, and thinkers. Mozart dedicated a composition to his beloved Pom. Michelangelo's companion supposedly watched from a satin pillow as he painted the Sistine Chapel. Isaac Newton's Pom, named Diamond, is infamous for once knocking over a candle and ruining months of his master's research. A reminder that even the greatest minds can be outwitted by a determined little dog. In our own time, Pomeranians have conquered not only living rooms, but red carpets and social media feeds. Their faces grace countless photos and viral videos, each one full of sass and sparkle. Despite their showbiz appeal, Poms are remarkably robust for their size, often living 12 to 16 years if cared for well. Still, their tiny frame makes them prone to certain health issues. Dental problems, delicate knees, and a trademark honking cough from tracheal collapse. That glorious coat needs regular grooming to prevent tangles and keep them looking worthy of a queen, or at least, in their eyes, the most important person in the house. But ask any Pom owner what life with a Pomeranian is really like, and they'll tell you it's like living with a whirlwind of energy and affection. These little dogs will attach themselves to their chosen human, following them from room to room, quick to cuddle, quick to bark, and always quick to remind you who's in charge. They excel in agility and obedience when they feel like participating, and have a remarkable ability to make you smile. whether they're spinning for applause or simply snuggling in your lap. At heart, the story of the Pomeranian is a story of transformation, but never of compromise. From icy sled trails to royal drawing rooms, from the studios of great artists to the screens of millions, the Pomeranian has thrived by adapting without ever losing its spark. Living with a Pom is an adventure in miniature, one full of attitude, affection, and the occasional dose of mischief. They might boss around dogs 10 times their size, outsmart even the cleverest of owners, and bark at leaves just for the drama. But they will also fill your days with laughter and love. Because in the kingdom of small but mighty, the Pomeranian reigns supreme, and you wouldn't want it any other way. There are dogs that fit neatly into family routines, dogs that happily play fetch or curl up by your feet. And then there's the Siberian Husky, a breed that always seems to have one eye on the horizon and one paw out the door. To live with a husky is to accept that you don't really own them. Instead, you share your life with a creature who is part mischief maker, part explorer, and part living legend. These are the dogs who look at fences as challenges, not barriers, and who always seem to have their own secret plan, usually involving a little adventure. The story of the Siberian Husky begins in the frozen expanse of northeastern Siberia, a land where winter lingers for most of the year and survival is a daily test. Long before Instagram fame or sled dog races, the husky was a lifeline for the Chukchi people, an indigenous tribe whose lives depended on their partnership with these remarkable dogs. The Chukchi needed more than a pet. They needed a dog with the endurance to pull sleds across endless white tundra, with the ability to thrive on little food, and with the warmth to curl up with children on freezing nights. Through generations of careful breeding, they created just that. A medium-sized, wolfish-looking dog with bottomless stamina, and a heart as generous as the landscape it called home. For the Chukchi, huskies were not just beasts of burden. They were family. They shared beds, meals, and warmth. After a long journey across the ice, the same dogs who raced tirelessly through blizzards would curl up in the shelter beside the people they served, their fur mingling, their breath keeping the night at bay. It was a partnership built on mutual need and trust, a kind of unspoken understanding that, together, anything was possible. The world outside Siberia first met the husky in the early 20th century, when stories of their speed and resilience reached the ears of Arctic explorers and sled racers in Alaska. In 1908, a handful of Siberian Huskies arrived to compete in the grueling All-Alaska Sweepstakes, a 400-mile race across ice and wilderness. At first, people doubted these smaller, leaner dogs, used to the bigger freight dogs of the north. But when the Huskies started winning, again and again, skepticism turned to awe. Then came a crisis that would make the breed famous worldwide. In the winter of 1925, a diphtheria outbreak threatened the remote town of Nome, Alaska. With no planes or trains able to make the journey, the only hope lay in a relay of sled dog teams carrying precious antitoxin, over 674 miles of frozen wilderness. Leading those teams were Siberian Huskies. The final dog into Nome was Balto, who became a global celebrity. But seasoned mushers knew the real hero was Togo, who led his team over the longest, most dangerous stretch, covering more than 260 miles. Together, they proved the Husky's worth not just as a racer, but as a lifesaver, a symbol of endurance, loyalty, and the unbreakable bond between humans and dogs. Physically, the Husky is unmistakable. With a thick double coat built for Arctic cold, upright ears, and eyes that might be icy blue, warm amber, or even two different colors, they look as if they carry the memory of wolves in their genes. Their bushy tails curl over their backs, often used as a makeshift scarf in the snow. Their coats come in a wild array of patterns and shades, from pure white to jet black, all with unique markings that set each Husky apart. But it's their spirit, not just their looks, that defines them. Huskies are famously independent, intelligent, and stubborn. They don't live to please. They live to move, to explore, to challenge the boundaries of every yard and every rule. Ask a Husky to stay, and you'll likely get a glance that says, "If I feel like it." Leave one unattended, and you might return to a scene of creative destruction or an empty backyard, your Husky having found a new adventure beyond the fence. For all their energy, they are gentle, sociable, and affectionate, loving nothing more than being part of a pack, whether canine or human. Huskies thrive in company and can become destructive when lonely or bored. Unlike many breeds, Huskies are not big barkers. Instead, they talk. They howl, sing, yodel, and woo-woo, their feelings about everything from empty food bowls to being denied a seat on the couch. Conversations with a Husky are lively, loud, and always a little bit absurd. Huskies are generally healthy, robust dogs, with a lifespan of 12 to 15 years and fewer genetic issues than many purebreds. Still, their love for running comes with a risk. A Husky off-leash is a Husky on a marathon, often disappearing for hours if not properly contained. They're also sensitive to heat. Their glorious coats become a burden in warm weather, so owners need to keep them cool and shaded. Health issues like cataracts, progressive retinal atrophy, and hip dysplasia can appear. But with care, Huskies remain energetic and playful well into old age. Today, the Siberian Husky is loved around the world for its beauty and spirit. They star in films, race in competitions, and fill homes with laughter and the occasional exasperation. They're not for everyone. Huskies need time, space, exercise, and a healthy sense of humor. They're too friendly to be guard dogs and too clever to win obedience awards without a lot of negotiation. But what they lack in predictability, they make up for in joy and adventure. A Husky will challenge you, make you laugh, and sometimes drive you a little wild. But at the end of the day, when they collapse beside you, there is nothing quite like the warmth of that ancient partnership. To share your life with a Husky is to be reminded every day of the call of the wild. They don't aim to please. They invite you to join the adventure. For those willing to accept their independent spirit, Huskies are unforgettable companions, always ready to run toward the next horizon and to bring you along for the ride. The Pembroke Welsh Corgi, a dog that stands just a few inches off the ground, but commands a room as if it's 10 feet tall. Some breeds were made to race, some to guard, but the Corgi was made to herd cattle, charm humans, and make the world smile with every waddle. With its fox-like face, expressive eyes, perky ears, and those famously short legs, the Corgi is instantly recognizable. But don't let its comical silhouette and endless cuteness fool you. This is a dog built for work, brains, and mischief in equal measure. Like any good legend, the Corgi's origin story is sprinkled with a little magic. According to old Welsh folklore, Corgis weren't just bred by farmers. They were gifts from woodland fairies. The fair folk, so the tale goes, used Corgis to pull their chariots and as steeds in mythical battles, leaving behind faint, fairy saddle marks on the dog's shoulders. Look closely, and some still claim to see these traces today. A reminder that even the most practical dog can have an air of enchantment. The real story, while less magical, is just as fascinating. The ancestors of the Pembroke Welsh Corgi are believed to have arrived in Wales more than 1,000 years ago, perhaps with Flemish weavers who settled in Pembrokeshire. These early dogs were bred to herd cattle, and every inch of the Corgi's body was designed for this job. Their long, low build meant they could dart beneath kicking hooves, nipping at the heels of cows while staying safe. Agile, quick, and clever, Corgis became the right hand or paw of Welsh farmers, working the fields and keeping the herd in line. For centuries, there was little distinction made between the Corgis from Pembrokeshire and those from Cardiganshire. But over time, two distinct breeds emerged. The Cardigan Welsh Corgi, an older line with ties to Celtic dogs, and the Pembroke Welsh Corgi, the smaller, more modern, and thanks to royal attention, more famous of the two. The Pembroke's signature is its docked tail, a practice once done for work, but now mostly for tradition, and often no longer performed as rules have changed in many countries. The Corgi's big leap into international stardom came courtesy of Queen Elizabeth II. In the 1930s, her father brought home a Pembroke puppy named Dookie for his daughters Elizabeth and Margaret. It was love at first sight. When Elizabeth turned 18, she was gifted her own Corgi, Susan, who became the foundation of a Corgi dynasty. Over her reign, Queen Elizabeth owned more than 30 Corgis, each one loyal, quirky, and always a part of royal life. These dogs followed her everywhere, from palaces to country estates, becoming as much a part of the monarchy's image as the royal crown itself. Yet the appeal of the Pembroke Welsh Corgi goes far beyond palace walls. This is a dog that combines confidence and sweetness, brains and stubbornness. With their low build and long, sturdy bodies, Corgis are built for herding, but they move with a unique, endearing wiggle. Their heads have a clever, foxy look, and their upright ears pick up every sound, especially the rustle of a treat bag. Coat colors range from shades of red and sable to fawn, black, and tan, often with crisp white markings that add to their distinctive look. And let's be honest, there are few things more charming than a Corgi's fluffy behind. wagging with the rhythm of pure joy. Spend a little time with a Pembroke, and you'll discover that they didn't get the memo about being small. Corgis are bold, confident, and ready to take charge of any situation. Herding is in their blood, so don't be surprised if your Corgi tries to herd the kids, the cats, or even you, gently nudging everyone into line. They're quick learners, eager for mental stimulation, and happiest when they have a job. Whether that's keeping your household in order or supervising dinner preparations from a strategic spot on the kitchen floor. But beware, a bored Corgi is a mischievous Corgi. If left to their own devices, they'll find entertainment, whether it's digging in the garden, moving your shoes, or inventing their own games. Despite their working roots, Pembroke Welsh Corgis are affectionate and thrive on human company. They want to be in the thick of things, always part of the action, whether that's going for a hike or binge-watching your favorite series, as long as they're curled up next to you. Their loyalty runs deep, and their sense of humor is legendary. Living with a Corgi means accepting a little bossiness in exchange for endless affection and laughter. Of course, those adorable short legs and long backs mean Corgis need a little extra care. They're prone to intervertebral disc disease, so it's important to avoid letting them jump from high places or overexert themselves. Their love of food and undeniable skill at begging means you have to watch their diet carefully to keep them fit and healthy. But with good care, a Pembroke Welsh Corgi will happily keep you company for 12 to 15 years, making every day brighter with its energy and charm. The internet, of course, has only magnified the Corgi's fame. Their loaf-shaped bodies, wiggly walks, and endless expressions have made them the stars of countless memes, videos, and cartoons. The world has fallen in love with Corgis all over again, celebrating everything from their royal roots to their status as the world's cutest herders. At the heart of the Pembroke Welsh Corgi story is adaptability, cleverness, and the courage to face anything, be it a field of cattle or a house full of strangers. With a wag and a grin, they've worked their way from the green hills of Wales to the gilded halls of Buckingham Palace and into the hearts of millions. They may not be the tallest breed, but they have the biggest personalities, always ready to take on the world one short-legged adventure at a time. To share your life with a Corgi is to welcome a little chaos, a lot of laughter, and a companion who will always have your back, even if it means herding you onto the couch for a well-earned cuddle.